Iran says the latest wave of US strikes have targeted piers, railway bridges and other facilities in the south. The attacks were the largest since the two signed a Memorandum of Understanding aimed at ending the war last month. Tehran says US strikes have killed at least 14 people in the last 2 days. Iran says it's responded by targeting US military facilities in Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar, activating air defences and alarms. Tehran's also lodged formal complaints with the UN Secretary-General, accusing Washington of attacks against its sovereignty. It says they're a breach of the ceasefire agreement with the US and a violation of the UN Charter. President Donald Trump says the latest strikes are retaliation for attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and he's warned worse could be yet to come. Speaking earlier to reporters on Air Force One, US President Donald Trump said returning to a full-scale war with Iran is on the table. But Tehran, he says, wants to make a deal.
We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
Most of the targets are located in southern Iran, especially along the Strait of Hormuz. State media has reported explosions in major port cities, including Bandar Abbas, Sirik and Bushehr. Explosions have also been heard on Abu Musa Island, near the entrance to the strait. In the city of Iran Shah, airport facilities were targeted. Tehran's chief negotiator, Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, has posted to social media after the latest retaliatory strikes by Iran. He says America still hasn't learned that bullying and breaking promises are no longer cost-free. Let me put it plainly, he said, if you strike, you'll get hit. Don't flail around pointlessly or you'll sink even deeper. The Strait of Hormuz will only open with Iranian arrangements, not American threats. We have our correspondent standing by for us on both sides of the Gulf. Aksel Zaimovic is here in Doha. But let's begin in the Iranian capital with Resul Serdar. Resul, Iran was subjected to heavy assault from the US. Can you give us a sense of the scale of the attack?
Well, this was the largest U.S. attacks on Iran since ceasefire was agreed in April, and definitely since the Memorandum of Understanding was signed. So we see in several locations, indeed. So Kashm and Abu Musa Islands in the Persian Gulf, in Strait of Hormuz, and also Ahwaz, Konarak, Bushehr, Bandar Abbas, Chabahar, Jask, and Iran Shah. So, and we see particularly in Chabahar that the energy facilities were targeted. So 3 power facilities, and also there have been, as a result of these attacks, an electricity outage took place. So now the authorities are saying that largely they are restored. But there is a new element here. So far we have seen the patterns of the US attacks were mostly focusing on the cities and islands in or around the Strait of Hormuz or the Persian Gulf. But now we're seeing that they have hit the city of Akkala, which is a northeastern city of Iran. And that is quite important because when the American blockade was imposed over the Strait of Hormuz, Iranians were trying to explore alternative routes for the trade. And the roads going through Akkala were quite essential for Iran, connecting the country to Turkmenistan, to the other countries around in the north of the country. And then Americans have hit a railway over there. And as a result, so now the train lane between Tehran and Mashhad is temporarily suspended. Authorities are saying the technical teams are working to reopen it, but as of now, that railway is out of service.
OK, so an indication there that these were quite strategic attacks. What has been then the response from Iran?
Well, Iranians are saying that in response, so they have attacked the American military facilities in Kuwait and Bahrain. So Arif Jan and Ali Al Salim in Kuwait, Jufair and Sheikh Isa in Bahrain. So they are giving some of the details here, but also now we know that there have been attacks on Qatar as well. So these attacks that were conducted in response to the American attacks by the IRGC, saying that they have targeted the Patriot missile systems in Kuwait, a satellite antenna in Qatar, and fuel depots of the U.S. military in Bahrain. And they're saying that IRGC have used various types of destructive drones, and also they're warning if the American attacks continue in the coming days, IRGC is going to expand its attacks on the other military facilities of the United States across the region. So here, there's a dangerous deadlock. Iranians are saying that they are not going to give up on the Strait of Hormuz. They believe that the fifth article of the Memorandum of Understanding gives right to Iran to have full control over the Strait of Hormuz, while Americans are saying that they are not going to accept Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz. For both sides, it's quite an essential position. And so that's why now it's extremely difficult for mediators really to force them to the negotiating table for a solution.
Resul Serdar joining us from Tehran. Thank you very much. Let's bring in Aksel Zaimovic now, who joins us from Doha. Aksel, a number of Gulf countries sending out alerts overnight. What's been reported of those incoming threats?
Well, that's correct. It was an intense night across the Gulf overnight. For example, here in Qatar, just before 4 in the morning, a resident received a text message on their mobile phones, and that message instructed people to stay indoors, to stay away from windows because of an imminent threat. And also, this, when it comes about these attacks, we're also hearing from Qatar's officials here, they're saying that there's been imminent threat right after those text messages were sent, because indicating that those attacks didn't cause any damage to the civilian infrastructure on the ground here. We also hear that in Bahrain and also in Kuwait, Interior Ministry instructed people to stay indoors, to stay away from windows, but also we don't get any official confirmations if any of those sites that Resul was earlier mentioning were impacted by those attacks hit in the Iranian attacks.
Aksel Zaimovic joining us from Doha. Thank you.